Most anime protagonists are decent folks. Maybe they make some mistakes or bad decisions, but they mean well. While these kinds of main characters are common, they're not universal. Some main characters are cold-hearted, cruel villains. Anime with villain protagonists allow viewers to adopt a perspective outside the norm. These anime ask viewers to empathize with characters who torment and seek to ruin others. This can be a disconcerting experience, but it can also be a great mental exercise. Maybe the character is hellbent on world domination, maybe they're seeking revenge, or maybe they just don't know how to handle a failed relationship. No matter what, they're doing something wrong, and it's the antagonist's job to try and stop them. Sometimes, these evil protagonists can even make for the best villains of all time. So, here's our top 10 list for the best anime, where the main character is a villain. 10. Psycho-Pass. Psycho-Pass is an unusual example of the villain as a protagonist phenomenon. While no one would call Akane Tsunemori a villain personally, she does work for a villainous organization, and her opponents tend to be the ones trying to take it down, though they generally do so through villainous means. Akane works for the MWPSB, a police-like organization that has the authority to kill anyone who is labeled a latent criminal by the Sybil system, a mysterious program that assesses people's likelihood of committing crimes. Akane quickly realizes the futility and cruelty of such a system, but she is unable to dismantle or even completely resist it, and, in fact, she continues to work with it to take down seemingly well-intentioned characters like Shogo Makishima and Kareto Kamui. The true villain of Psycho-Pass is the Sybil system itself, not Akane, but despite her strong personal morals, she continues to work for that villainous system. One could argue that the Sybil system is just as much a protagonist as Akane is, and while Psycho-Pass refuses to play the trope straight, it sure has fun playing with it. 9. Angels of Death. Trapped in a mysterious building with only one way out, a young girl named Rachel Gardner must team up with Zack, a sadistic serial killer, to ascend through the building floor by floor. Each floor has a boss that's just as twisted and murderous as Zack. Although Zack would be considered a villain in any other story, he serves as an ally and friend to Rachel as they try to escape from the terrors of the building. Even Rachel isn't as innocent nor sweet as she appears. Throughout the series, viewers learn that she harbors a secret that is equally as terrifying as Zack. Zack is sentenced to death for his killing spree years ago, as well as the murder of Ray's parents, along with Ray's kidnapping. Zack denies killing Ray's parents or kidnapping her, but he does admit to the other murders. Ray is taken to a rehabilitation center due to her apparent delirium and attachment to him. Never losing faith, she pretends to get better while clinging to the hope of the oath they made. A few months after, Zack escapes from prison and breaks into Ray's room to fulfill his end of the oath. The two escape together, with Ray once again asking him to kill her. By the time the police arrive, the room is already empty with the window broken, a trail of blood, and Zack's old knife that Ray left behind. 8. Terror and Resonance. Terror and Resonance tells the story of two teenage boys, 9 and 12, who form a terrorist cell known as Sphinx. 9 and 12 grew up in the settlement, an experimental institution for gifted children. As you might have guessed, the settlement doesn't have the children's best interest in mind. Instead, they were there to be used as tools for whatever purposes the Japanese government desired. Most of the children died through drugging and experimentation, but 9 and 12 escaped. As Sphinx, their goal is to steal an atomic bomb from the settlement and use it to wipe out everyone involved in the experiment. Terror and Resonance provides an interesting look into what might drive a person to commit undeniably villainous acts of terrorism, though it does occasionally lose its focus, making the ultimate message less resonant. 7. Elfen Lied. Elfen Lied's Lucy has a good reason for her villainy. She's a special breed of human called a Diclonius, and her status opens her up, not only to severe interpersonal and societal discrimination, but also to being experimented on and tortured by the government. Traumatized by her experiences, Lucy starts destroying others with abandon. Not only does she kill the government officials holding her captive, she kills her childhood friend's father and sister out of jealousy, and racks up other random kills. While she does eventually begin to feel remorse, her merciless killing and her tendency to torture her victims do paint the grim and bloody picture of a villain. After 3 years of captivity, Keat, now referred to by the codename Lucy, attempted to escape captivity. While successful, she was rendered unconscious, causing her to develop a third personality named Nayu, which represented whatever remained of her innocence. She was eventually found ashore by Kouta, a schoolboy who once was Keith's sole childhood friend, and was invited to live with him and his cousin Yuka. Since then, Lucy has remained dormant while she and Nayu attempted to peacefully coexist with her friends, often re-emerging when confronted with other Declanii or Special Forces soldiers hell-bent on recapturing her. 6. 91 Days. 91 Days is a mafia revenge story that takes place during Prohibition. The villainous protagonist is Angelo Lagusa, who swore revenge on the powerful Venetti family after they killed his parents and his younger brother. What makes Angelo a villain is the fact that he doesn't just want to revenge, he wants to inflict as much suffering as humanly possible on anyone who is even tangentially related to his family's death. Angelo grew up to be a cold, cynical man who constantly wore a neutral face. Growing up alone stunted his social skills, and he no longer expressed his emotions freely. He also is shown to be cruel and capable of cold-blooded murder at times. He possesses a sense of humor that ranges between deadpan and sarcasm. In order to take his revenge, he was willing to do anything and kill anyone without showing sympathy. 5. Hellsing Ultimate. Alucard of Hellsing Ultimate is a vampire whose job involves hunting his own kind. In another series, a character like this could easily be an anti-hero or even just a hero, but that's not the case for Alucard. Alucard didn't become a vampire hunter for anything resembling moral reasons. He does it because he thoroughly enjoys ending lives. Not only does he viciously slaughter vampires, he also kills humans. He shows no mercy and delights in ending lives. He softens up a little as the show progresses, but he's still very much a villainous protagonist. 4. Saga of Tanya the Evil. With a title like Saga of Tanya the Evil, this series promises to deliver an evil protagonist, and it does exactly that. Tanya Degurachev, an empathy-deficient Japanese salaryman in the body of a 10-year-old European girl, and he or she is also a military mastermind. Yeah, it's weird. Tanya has a simple goal to live a comfortable, trouble-free life and die a natural, painless death, and they'll do anything to achieve that. Their intelligence and cruelty are so great that they end up leading their country to near world domination and earning the nickname Devil of the Rhine. 3. Overlord. When Momonga finds himself trapped in the virtual reality game Yggdrasil, he loses more than just his ordinary human life. Stuck in his avatar form, he accepts his new identity as Ainzul Gaon. But due to the in-game tendencies of his character, he starts to stray from humanity by killing countless lives. And while he still has moments of kindness, he certainly commits questionable acts. It doesn't help that his avatar looks incredibly villainous as well. 2. Kogis. Lelich Lamperouge of Kogis is the exiled prince of Britannia, a fictional empire that is attempting to dominate many other nations, including Japan. Lelich leads the charge to take down the empire and free Japan from its grasp. In some series, this would have been played as heroic behavior, but not in Kogis. Lelich is willing to lie to his followers, ignore promises, and throw people under the bus in service of his goals. With his dark cape and his cruel, piercing gaze, he even looks the part. Lelich is willing to lie to his followers, ignore promises, and throw people under the bus in service of his goals. With his dark cape and his cruel, piercing gaze, he even looks the part. 1. Death Note. No list of villainous protagonists would be complete without Death Note. The series features Light Yagami, a young diabolical genius who uses a magical notebook to bring justice to scores of criminals. However, he eventually gets so swallowed up by ambition that he forgets his own morals and starts killing innocent people just to avoid getting caught. Death Note poses an important question. Does any one person have the right to decide who lives and who dies? Then, it answers that question with an emphatic no. Light's actions are clearly wrong, and what's fascinating is that we get to see what leads him down such a dark and terrible path. That's our list of the best of anime's villain main characters. What do you think of our picks? Who would you rank as number 1? Comment down and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more anime updates.